We are very excited to have with us from the Aotearoa Liberation League, Pere Huriwai Seger, joining us on his way from Whangarei, down State Highway 1. Where are you right? Oh, you're in Whangarei now, from Waitangi to Whangarei, heading over the Brynderwyns down towards Wellsford. Good man, we got you in the car. When we used to do filming out and about, we found that the car was a very good place to record voiceovers because all the curved angles and stuff in the car, it doesn't bounce around so much. So it's a good place to talk to us. How are you, man?
Ka pai. Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. Tēnā kōrua and tēnā koutou. Koutou e whakarongo mai nei. Yeah, the car is a good space, but I'm parked outside a bar and there are a lot of people enjoying themselves at the moment. So yeah, hopefully this goes all right.
Hey, let's just do this to start off with, because you guys are all over the place, but if people want to find out more about you, all.org.nz is probably a pretty good place to start. Find all the links in there as well to Facebook and the Instas and the Twiki-Twokkies and all that kind of stuff. So all.org.nz. Now, you've been at Waitangi, just throwing you the ball. The floor is yours, sir. Tell us about Waitangi.
Oh, where do I begin? I mean, it's a special experience for someone like myself because, I'm a young... I'm getting, I'll call myself young. I'm a young Māori man who's reconnecting to his culture. I've kind of been on a reconnection journey for the last 3 or 4 years, and I'd probably say the majority of Māori are in my shoes. I mean, we are a colonized people. English is my first language. I consider my mindset to be a very, colonized Pākehā, to be frank, mindset. And it's kind of, we're kind of, I don't want to put us in a box, but I'll just talk from my own experience. I am a traumatized person when I think about my own culture and learning my reo. There's a lot of mamai, as we say. There's a lot of trauma that we go through and relearning things that we know have been taken from us, things that should be our birthright, but we're having to work and spend money and practice for, pursuing things that would have been normal for our ancestors. And so, Waitangi, it's a celebration, but then at the same time, we're like, wow, why are we celebrating this really, really shitty deal that our people went through? So it's a roller coaster of emotions for a lot of Māori, I'm sure. There's aroha, there's love, there's kotahitanga, there's coming together, but then there's all the reminders of how far we still have to go, what has been taken from us. But there's... At the end of the day, it's hope. It's definitely hope. It's a positive thing. I'm still buzzing, that's for sure. But yeah, it's an emotional roller coaster. And the way that the media portrays it, it's just your classic racism. I mean, they look at the porphyry, they look at the haka, they see men in their, grass skirts, and they think about tribalism. They think about cavemen and stuff like that. But these are our ceremonies. These are our rituals. This is part of our culture. And for the most part, the consistent message has been kotahitanga, unity, coming together and moving forward as a nation. But of course, we see the media focusing on what's really just a representational, quite shallow aspect of it, which is our customs, which are more formalities. But of course, our racist kind of mindset likes to look at it as, the Neanderthal type of, you know what I mean. But yeah, emotional roller coaster, to be honest.
Well, that's interesting because the Waitangi Day event, commemoration, celebrations, whichever is the correct word to use, probably all of the above, depending on what hour you are in of the Waitangi Day events, look to be very different this year from probably for the last 20 years, probably back to the seabed and foreshore was the last time they were this sort of angsty. What did you take away from Waitangi when you were there and you've taken away with you? What are the thoughts, vibes, feelings you've come away with it with?
That we, iwi Māori, are very powerful, to be quite frank. The way that we've all come together, thanks David Seymour for bringing us together in this way. Thank you to all the racists who have made us realize that we're stronger together. But oh man, I mean, there's a lot of hope. There's just definitely a lot of hope. Māori are really starting to realize, well, I shouldn't say starting, but we now know, and we're solidifying, and we're realizing that we really need to get on top of things, narratives, messages, because we see various groups I don't want to name them too much, but they're all working together very efficiently, very, in an organized way, to try and maintain the status quo, the trajectory of the human race, of capitalism, of consuming all of our natural resources, that general trajectory of human destruction kind of thing. And for me, Te Ao Māori and our indigenous ways of relating to the natural world provides us with a potential alternative to the current human trajectory, the current human Western colonial trajectory of just consuming and chasing resources and money and clout and, things like that, and consumerism. And so for me, Waitangi was just a big reminder about decolonization, about alternative ways of existing and thinking outside of, the dominant colonial norm, the colonial trance that I like to call it. We see ourselves stuck in a certain way, and colonization tries to keep us there, tries to make us think that there's only one way of being. But then going to Waitangi, and you see this huge event. I mean, there was like 6 or 7 music stages. There's not enough time to go and view everything. And it's a completely free event. They feed people. There's political discussions. There's all sorts of activity, for the kids. They put on movies at night. There was a free concert, one of the best concerts that I've ever been to, a band called Illuminati, and one of the best concerts I've ever been to, and it's completely free. And for our ability as Te Iwi Māori to put on these huge events, we saw it with the Kingitanga, the Huia Motu, all of these things that we're capable of doing, and it's such a beautiful experience. We're all dancing together, we're all eating together, we're all laughing together, having just a fantastic, amazing time, because we've all come together to contribute just a little bit. And yeah, it just fills me with so much hope and pride. I'm very proud. That's probably the right word. Coming from Waitangi and being a descendant of Ngā Puhi I Whakapapatu Rahiri, just proud to see what my people are capable of doing. And I know that, we're all looking for fun places to connect with one another, to talk about things, to scheme about the government and to have a say. And Waitangi is that place.
I'm interested, the scheme about the government thing, I'm interested if you saw any of the politicians speak. And if you did, because we obviously, we're best part of 2,000 kilometers away. So all we can get is the veneer of the television news or watching someone's live stream on TikTok or whatever. For someone who was there, like the singing off of David Seymour, the booing of Winston Peters, then the politicians come out and they say, oh, it's just a couple of people, but be interested to get your take, having been there, watching. I'm not just saying about those two, but the political messages altogether. What was the vibe? What did you take away from that? What was the feeling like amongst the audience to those speeches?
Well, obviously we understand that the current government is anti-Māori. And so there's been a lot of build up to this. The sentiment among people, it was an interesting mix, because obviously tikanga Māori, manaakitanga, these are people who have been invited to speak. However, why are we giving these people these platforms if they're just going to repeat their same old speeches? And I give a big mihi to Spiderhoof for highlighting that about Christopher Luxon. Nothing new is brought to the table. Nothing new at all. They don't come to our gatherings to actually bring anything new to the table. It's all of their pre-prepared speeches. And as we saw from Christopher Luxon, nothing new, no solutions whatsoever. And not even, there is no sense that they're actually contributing to the conversation. They're not there to listen. They're there to give their pre-prepared agenda and to try and do it in a way that leaves the door open in an ambiguous way, and they try to just get away with what they can as safely as how they feel they can. And they fill the time. I mean, Christopher Luxon was talking about how Captain Cook, the first European to discover Aotearoa. And it's like, why are you filling? This isn't a history lesson. You're here because you're meant to be talking to Māori and listening to Māori. You're meant to be there to show that you can hear us. You're meant to be there to say, I hear what you're saying, and this is what we're going to do about it. but instead they fill the time with, pointless nothingness.
I think the point about hearing us, hearing you guys, hearing Māori is absolutely the thing that has been missed, and interesting to see so many of the mainstream media. And I think basically based on the work that Spiderhoof did, I'm completely going to give her all the credit for this, coming out saying, does that mean you weren't listening? Does that mean you haven't listened? Because if I was going to be fair and I was going to say the speech 12 months ago was pretty much the same as the speech this year, that might be okay if there were no differences in society, i.e. the speech last year was, but especially amongst Māori and the government, there is a huge difference at the moment to that interpersonal relationship and what's going on. So to think that you could bring out 12 months ago's speech to today is not just disrespectful. It just once again shows how Chewy says it best all the time, that he's just not very good at this and he doesn't know how to read the room. Chewy, what do you want to add to that, Chewy? Because you haven't had a chance to talk yet. I've been hogging the line.
Yeah, I keep on certainly. I've been talking about this speech with a bunch of people today, right? And it's just to come with the last year's speech because you brought last year's jacket or something. I don't know, but to just absolutely bobble the fact that you knew this was coming, you knew this was going to be a very robust discussion at Waitangi. You've seen all the previous speakers get up, make their points, fire back, be challenged, and you haven't at any stage gone, maybe I need to come up with something different. Maybe I need to acknowledge some of the things that have been said, not just in the past 1 month, 2 months, but so much has changed in the last 12 months to just deserve an updated speech.
Yeah,
I think it shows a disinterest and a disrespect that he might want to brush away, going, oh no, we want, of course we want good outcomes for Māori. Of course we acknowledge the treaty. Of course it's about KPI this and KPI this, and we know that your kids aren't going to school, so we need you to do more on that. It's just disrespect. It's a lack of understanding, and it just speaks to how long this man has not been in New Zealand. He spent most of his adult life in North America. So what does he know? What does he know about the advances that have been made, have been fought for over the last, like I think of the changes in the last 20, 25 years? There's been so much change, and that's time that he was out of this country. Can't trust him.
Yeah, and I would just say, and when you're speaking on the marae, the normal protocol is really to weave in what the opposite side has said. I mean, the tikanga for Ngā Puhi is generally the hosts go first, and then the manuhiri responds, and it's meant to be a response. Yeah, you're meant to weave, and it's meant to show that you're listening and that you're feeding into their kōrero, that you've heard them. This is your thoughts on their opinions and what they've gave. And so Tama Pōtaka, he did a bit of that himself. He's used to speaking in those spaces, and I guess they thought that was enough. But that type of energy of seeing that the Prime Minister is actually aware and willing to have that kind of reciprocal conversation to show that he is actually listening and not just going to read off his pre-prepared speech, is really essential in those spaces. And it just speaks to the fact that his constituents that he's really speaking to are not Māori.
Yeah. Hey, Pere, we've got a bunch of other stuff to do tonight to talk about it, but we don't want to cut this short. Is there anything you really want to leave us with? We love to be educated. Teach us something. Anything you want to leave us and the people watching with as we wrap up for this evening?
Oh, all I would like to say is thank you to all of our tangata tiriti, all of the people out there who have taken time to learn about Te Tiriti o Waitangi and about colonization and about Te Ao Māori. Thank you. Because as much as we Māori are kind of indigenizing ourselves, as we like to say, or learning about our own culture, we are the minority, and we do not have the ability to sway the political parties in the way that the rest of the country does. And so Māori, we need our neighbors, we need our partners, we need our friends, we need the rest of our family who are not Māori. So I just want to give a big mihi just to everyone out there who's given us a spare thought in their day for Waitangi Day. Thank you to everyone, and please do know that in Te Tiriti o Waitangi, there is protection within that document for all of us. Not in the way that David Seymour talks about it, but the way that I look at it is that the natural world is also tied into Te Tiriti o Waitangi. And for me, here in Aotearoa, the last safeguard that we have to protect the natural world is in Te Tiriti o Waitangi. And so it's not just about Māori, it's about the holistic well-being of our entire, not just our country, but our entire world, because we also have the opportunity to set an example to an alternative system instead of the current destructive trajectory that the human race is on. So yeah, that's probably what I'll leave it with. Kia ora, and yeah, thank you to Spider Hoof once again, beautiful content.
Yeah, well, just before you take off, Pere, because Spider Hoof has sent us a super chat, and I think this is a message for you. Kia ora, love your mahi and the inspiration you bring to so many of us.
Kia ora,
Spider Hoof. And also Ethan Paki has sent through a message saying, aroha to Pere, Eru and Hori for leading the protest against the government yesterday. Proud to be there with my partner and stand alongside with them. Last thing I'll leave you with is, I mean, like we're talking about non-Māori in this conversation as well. I think the thing that resonates with me and Chewy, speaking on your behalf, Chewy, I know it does, is when Professor Margaret Mutu came on last week, Chewy asked her that question, what can non-Māori do in the situation? And one of the big things she said was be the buffer, like stand in the gap and be a buffer for the I guess, sorry to be colonising here, but as Shakespeare said, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, what's thrown at Māori, non-Māori can be a buffer and stand in the middle. And, I guess take some of the heat might be the way that I interpret it. And I guess that's what we just hope we can do, if nothing else, to see these stories and these messages continue on loud and proud.
Ka pai. No, excellent.
Right.
Thank you. And can I also just say as well, I need to say, colonization hurts all of us. It's not just Māori who are colonized. We're literally all colonized. So a pathway out of this colonized state that we're all currently existing in is a benefit for all of us. So once again, thank you to everyone.
Absolutely.
All the best, Pere. And your lighting in the car is spectacular. I don't know if you've got a ring light going on, but you've done very well. You've done this before. There you go. Well done, sir. We'll catch you again soon, bro. All the best.
Ka pai. Kia ora, kōrero.
Cheers, mate.